Okay, so you found something really awesome on AliExpress, but it's really, really cheap. Is AliExpress legit? Is it actually that cheap? Will it even be delivered, or are you going to be scammed? Like most things in life, the answer is complicated. But if you watch this video, I promise by the end of it, it'll be a little less complicated. So this is actually an update to a video I did a few years ago, and in it I specifically wanted to address some things that have changed on AliExpress in the meantime. To be clear, I'm not an AliExpress employee. If we ever had an affiliate link on this channel to AliExpress, it was added by someone else, not by me. I don't personally profit from any AliExpress links or any affiliate links on the channel at all. In fact, I'm salaried by this channel, nor does AliExpress nor any PR company pay me to promote them. And that's why you can trust me. I have, however, been buying things on AliExpress for about a decade now. I've spent literally thousands of dollars there in orders ranging from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars at once. I've been through the refund procedure countless times, though again, that has changed. And I too have, on occasion, been scammed, though it's rare. So if you just want to cut to the part of this video where I talk about some of the things that have changed on AliExpress because you're already familiar with it, then check out the chapter links in the description to get directly to those. Notably the bits about automatic taxation for EU and UK citizens, as well as changes to the default shipping and the consumer protection time. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you don't already know much about AliExpress. So first, who is AliExpress? So AliExpress is the consumer arm of the Chinese giant Alibaba, which started as a business-to-business sales marketplace. So they had manufacturers selling widgets to other manufacturers or to end retail outlets. Then they moved into domestic Chinese consumer sales via their Taobao.com site before finally moving on to international sales directly to consumers in the West in the form of AliExpress. It's a bit like eBay or Amazon Marketplace in that AliExpress itself is simply the platform. And when you shop there, you're actually buying from multiple different sellers, any of whom could potentially screw you over. And you'll find everything from official Chinese brand outlets with thousands of positive reviews to these pop-up sellers with names like Shop 123456 and 0 confirmed reviews. And you should, of course, exercise a bit of common sense. If the seller has a generic name, if it has low ratings or even no ratings because it's new, obviously it's best to avoid those. What can you buy on AliExpress and why is it so cheap? You'll find all types of products for sale on AliExpress, and most of them will be the exact same thing that you can buy from high street stores in your home country, just without the 300 or 1000% markup that a retail store will typically add on, depending on the type of product. The reason they're so cheap is because often you're buying direct from the manufacturer, or at least closer to the manufacturer than however many steps away that those retail stores are. There's also the issue that you're going to get less consumer protections, of course, and support should anything go wrong is non-existent. Compared to buying in a store, high street stores factor in customer service into their pricing. So for that reason, I tend to stay away from complicated electronics and things that have a greater chance of breaking without me being able to repair them myself. Okay, so things you should avoid buying on AliExpress. Absolutely don't buy any branded goods, especially from Western brands. Not because it's morally wrong or anything, I couldn't care less if these corporate brands were wiped off the face of the earth, but simply because they're either fake or their quality rejected from the factory, or purely for the more practical reason that there's a good chance it'll be confiscated when you import it into the country. Grey market goods are illegal in most countries, so if a customs officer opens up your package and sees the little tick of a Nike logo coming from China, they will just destroy it, and you may not have any recourse to get your money back. Now, although I've personally not bought makeup, cosmetics on AliExpress, we have had some comments on our other videos that would recommend against that, mainly because of safety concerns, so that's something to bear in mind. The safety testing, if any, will not be as stringent as you have in your home country, and again, there's no recourse. You can't sue AliExpress if some cream you bought burns your face off. I'd also advise not buying things like hard disks or memory cards or graphics cards. It's a pretty common scam to reprogram the firmware of a lower capacity card and hard disk to report a higher capacity than what they actually are. And while it may work for a simple small file test, once you start to go beyond the actual capacity of the drive, it'll just randomly fail. You'll never be able to actually fill it up to the capacity you bought. By then, of course, it's too late because you've already had it for a fairly long time. You can't get a refund. I'd also be wary of graphics cards because you don't really know if they've been used for a year or two in Chinese crypto mining operations, which will wear heavily on the components. Those are fairly often dumped onto the market and then sold back at retail price. My last tip to not get scammed is that you may find the first photo on the product page is fake. It's designed to draw you into the listing, but the listing does always have to have actual product photos in there somewhere. So scroll through the details page, scroll through the gallery to see better or more accurate actual photos of the product rather than something the seller stole from online somewhere else. Okay, so you've decided you're going to buy something. How long does shipping take? Since the start of the pandemic, shipping times have been all over the place. Now, this is going to vary a lot by seller, but the products I've ordered over the past year, some have actually been here in 2 weeks, while some have taken right up to 3 months. The problem is that AliExpress has changed their consumer protection time to 90 days, which means that if something isn't arriving in the estimated time frame, you'll still have to wait 90 days from the order date before you can even think about making a non-delivery claim. And even then, you have to give the sellers however many days to respond. Then if they can't resolve it, AliExpress has however many days to step in and solve it for you. The whole shipping problem is further exacerbated by the fact that AliExpress launched their own shipping service, and it is the default most of the time, and it is terrible. It's called Cainao Global Economy, spelt C-A-I-N-A-O, Cainao. In the past, I've had very few issues with shipping on AliExpress using the AliExpress standard shipping method, which is default and free. Now, this was generally either airmail or slower by boat, but when it reached your country, it would come with the National Postal Service, so Royal Mail in the UK. You get a tracking number, it's tracked at every stage, all good. But a few years ago, AliExpress launched a new shipping service with their own warehouses. It's called Cainao, and it's the default shipping now that's free for most products. The problem is that while you do get a tracking number, you can follow it and it'll say landed in your country. So you're like, yay, another week or so. But then the package will often sit for many weeks, months even, in the local Cainao warehouses. And there'll be no other info as to when it's going to be delivered. And the person delivering it is just some random dude in an unmarked van. Anything I have bought that came via Cainao has taken 2 to 3 months to arrive consistently. It's just atrocious and should be avoided at all costs. Recently, anything that I've been ordering, I make a point of changing the standard shipping to AliExpress standard shipping, but this often costs a couple of dollars more. And for me, it's just worth it for that peace of mind. However, note that changing the shipping doesn't reduce the protection time. Even if the product was estimated to arrive in a month, you will still need to wait 90 days, I believe, from the order date before you can file a dispute about not receiving something. Which brings us on to the next point. EVA, the complaints robot. It used to be pretty simple to file a dispute to say you hadn't received something. There was a simple link on your orders page. Click that, say I haven't got it. But now the only thing you can do is to use the AliExpress interactive chatbot called EVA. And like most chatbots, it's a bloody nightmare. That said, as long as you are outside of the allowed 90-day delivery time, you should still be able to initiate a non-delivery complaint. Just go through the annoying menu options and eventually you'll get to the right one. That said, trying to get a refund for quality issues is not worth the hassle. It never has been. If a small part of an item is broken but it's otherwise still usable, you can expect the seller to lowball you a percentage refund, like 5%, which you pretty much have to just accept. If you choose instead a full refund, you'll be required to ship the item back to China tracked, which will often cost you more than the total you paid for the item itself and the shipping, and it'll take months to get back, and there's no guarantee it won't go missing on the way, and your return shipping will not be refunded, nor will any of the import costs that you may have paid to get it into the country. It's just not worth trying to get a refund. You will end up with out of cash. Especially if you're planning on buying something like clothing. Actually, I bought this t-shirt on AliExpress, it's pretty good, for which the quality will vary a lot, as well as the sizing. Then Firstly, I recommend that you double check the recommended sizing because every seller on AliExpress will have different size tables. Some will list European sizes when you're choosing, some will only show Chinese sizes, some will show American, which are bigger. And also use some common sense. If it's super cheap, it's likely made out of very thin material, and trying to get a refund because you don't think it's good enough is not worth the effort, like I said earlier. Yes, items on AliExpress are cheap, but they're not that cheap. If you're dumb enough to buy a wedding dress for $10, then you should expect it to be made out of crepe paper, and that's your fault for being a bit of a numpty. So lastly, import taxes are now automatic. It used to be the case that products were even cheaper compared to the usual UK and European products because they didn't include the standard 20% VAT or any import taxes that high street sellers would have to add. So the sellers on AliExpress would often write the customs label as gift and under 20 euros value so that the item would just fly through customs undetected. It was a bit of a loophole, there were no extra charges thanks to that whole gift labeling. Very occasionally you would be dinged for VAT as well as a 12 to 15 pounds handling charge, however that was pretty rare. But as of January 21 for the UK and July 21 for the EU, AliExpress will now automatically collect VAT charges on behalf of UK and EU governments at the checkout. And there's no way around that. If you're delivering to a European address, this 20% will be automatically added. And it's only once you click the checkout button that this actually happens. The total suddenly goes up by 20%, and you might be wondering why. In fairness, this has always been the law. You must declare the item's value and pay the VAT. But it was easy to skirt around and no one really cared. But now that option is no longer there. You will have to pay VAT automatically. It gets a bit more complicated on packages worth over 135 euros. I think you may now have to pay that on the point of entry plus a handling charge. To be honest, I haven't bought something so expensive since those rules were rolled out earlier this year, so it's not clear if they'll automatically add that on. But in any case, you should allow another 20 to 25% on top of the price shown on the sales page. So is it still worth buying on AliExpress in 2021? I've been a big fan of AliExpress for a long time. My wife is actually Chinese and she will often fill up her shopping basket over the course of a year, getting ready for the 11/11 November sales. The price difference compared to high street stores is still significant, but compared to other online places like Amazon and even eBay, where the Chinese sellers now directly list too, there's often not that much difference, and you have a more solid system for getting a refund if something doesn't match the description or just doesn't deliver. Buyer protections on places like eBay are very strong. So if you can buy something from eBay or Amazon, even if it's getting shipped from China, I would recommend getting it there rather than AliExpress. Even if it's a little bit more expensive, you will have better consumer protections. I do still shop on AliExpress, but certainly less so nowadays, and only in cases where I couldn't easily buy it elsewhere. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope I've given you some useful tips and things to look out for when shopping online at AliExpress. I can't promise that it'll be safe for you or that it'll match up to your quality expectations, or that you'll even be able to get a refund if something does go wrong. For non-delivery, you'll usually be fine, but you may have to wait up to 3 months before you can claim on that. Either because that's how long it takes to be delivered, or because the Ava chatbot won't let you open up a dispute before that time has elapsed. But for quality issues, I would forget it. Chalk it up to experience. You almost certainly will lose more money if you tried to actually return anything directly to China. Do please hit like if you found this video helpful, and consider subscribing for more daily tech news, gadget reviews, giveaways and more from the entire MUO team over at makeuseof.com. Until next time.